Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. It's Tuesday, August 5th. Corpus Christi residents will pay higher water rates regardless if the city's $1.18 billion Inner Harbor desalination project moves forward, but canceling it could leave them paying for nothing. KRAS News reported documents that show residents inside city limits using an average of 6,000 gallons monthly could face an about $8 monthly rate increase for the next decade if the project is canceled, compared to an increase of $11.38 a month if it continues. KIII reports the engineering firm Kiewit has warned city leaders in a letter that the pause in work on the project could lead to major delays and increased costs. The 6-page letter urged them to reconsider the suspension. Council members cited needing additional funding information from the Texas Water Development Board before moving forward, and then voted to pause the project for about 4 weeks. In the letter, Kiewit outlined several consequences of the suspension, including potential delays of months and possibly more than a year, as well as a loss of continuity and efficiency within the design team. Today, the Victoria City Council begins work on the city's budget for the next fiscal year. During the meeting, council members are expected to review the proposed property tax rate, schedule public hearings for the budget, and set a date to vote on adopting the new rate. Also on the agenda is a public hearing to consider placing a collective bargaining measure for the Victoria Fire Department on the November ballot. Meanwhile, Victoria College Board of Trustees are proposing a property tax rate increase for the coming fiscal year. During a special meeting Monday afternoon, the board proposed a rate of 18.32 cents per $100 of taxable property value. The current rate is 17.09 cents per $100. Trustees will hold a public hearing on the proposed rate during a special meeting August 11th in the academic building on Victoria College's main campus. Following the hearing, the board is expected to vote on the 2025-26 operating budget and tax rate. In state news, Governor Greg Abbott wants the Texas Rangers to investigate whether state House Democrats violated the law when they left the state this week. They're trying to prevent the state legislature from approving new congressional maps that could give the GOP 5 more U.S. House seats in the next midterms. Breaking quorum is not a criminal offense, but in a Fox News interview, Abbott accused the Democrats of committing bribery.
These legislators have been they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act.
The Texas House also issued arrest warrants for the House Democrats who left. It's not clear if or how other states could be compelled to comply with the warrants. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers in the Texas House and Senate have filed identical bills to get rid of the STAR test. KERA's Bill Ziebel reports some educators supported a similar effort during the regular session.
House Education Committee Chair Brad Buckley and Senator Paul Bettencourt jointly filed bills that would replace what Bettencourt in a statement called the STAR stress test. Instead, students would take 3 shorter tests at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. The lawmakers say this approach gives students and teachers meaningful assessments they can act on and takes the emphasis away from teaching to the test. A similar effort to end STAR tests failed during the regular session. Dallas ISD Superintendent Stephanie Elizalde testified in support, saying in a statement the test, quote, creates undue pressure and narrows curriculum. I'm Bill Ziebel in Dallas.
Thousands of residents across South Texas were reported to be without power after thunderstorms hit the region yesterday. Outage maps from AEP Texas and Magic Valley Electric Cooperatives showed at one point over 6,200 outages in Hidalgo County. In Victoria, winds estimated at more than 40 miles per hour caused power outages and brought down tree limbs. As a result, several neighborhoods near the intersection of Ben Jordan Street and Sam Houston Drive were affected. The same winds also caused power outages in parts of both Victoria and Calhoun counties. Corpus Christi residents can participate in upcoming community input sessions for the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. They can provide feedback and help shape how tax dollars are spent to benefit the community. During these sessions, the city manager and city staff will be available to answer residents' questions. Mayor Paulette Guajardo and other city council members may also be in attendance. Residents are welcome to attend any or all community input sessions, which take place from 6 to 7 p.m. on specific dates. The next one will be this Thursday at Corpus Christi Gym, 3202 Cabinus Road. For the schedule and more information, visit corpuschristitx.gov. The South Padre Island Convention and Visitors Bureau said they've noticed an increase in hotel occupancy tax revenue. This past June, the hotel occupancy tax on the island jumped by over 10% compared to June of 2024. That's $1.93 million compared to $1.75 million, according to figures provided by the Bureau. Sales tax figures also increased from about $510,000 in May of 2025 compared to the about $485,000 made in May of 2024. The Bureau said sales and alcohol tax numbers for June and July of this year weren't available as of yesterday, but they expect to see a similar increase. The Texas Department of Transportation announced that the Texas Transportation Commission awarded $96 million in a combined state and federal funding transit program to help both rural and urban communities across Texas. Districts such as TxDOT FAR District will receive part of the funding, as it will be distributed across transit agencies across the state. In a news release from TxDOT, funding can help support transit agencies and residents. Texas border lawmakers introduced H.R. 4498, ensuring continued access to funding for colonias. The legislation seeks to protect federal funding sources for colonias along the U.S.-Mexico border. The bipartisan bill raises the population eligibility for the Community Development Block Grant from 1 million to 2 million residents, ensuring that colonia communities located in larger metropolitan statistical areas such as McAllen remain eligible for targeted CDBG federal funding. Fremont ISD is preparing for the new school year with Texas's new law banning cell phones in classrooms. Fremont is allowing students to bring their phones to school, but they cannot use them between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. The school year for Fremont begins August 13th, when the new cell phone policy will be fully implemented. And the CDC is reporting a seasonal surge in COVID-19 cases in a majority of states, with Texas listed as growing or likely to grow. Much of that activity stems from the NB181 variant, also known as Nimbus. Dr. Trish Pearl, an infectious disease specialist with UT Southwestern Medical Center, talked with Sam Baker for KERA's Vital Signs series about what you should know about Nimbus.
This variant binds well to the ACE2 inhibitor, which is the receptor that the SARS-CoV-2 strains bind to, which makes it more infectious. And in the lab studies, it's about 2.5 times more infectious than the previous strain. So it's spreading very rapidly.
Does it cause more severe illness than past variants?
Thus far, the data does not suggest that at all. The data suggests a respiratory-like illness. It has some very special symptoms, if you will, but any of these can be cause serious disease in the right host. So in high-risk people, it could certainly cause serious disease.
Speaking of the symptoms, the one that's getting a lot of attention is this so-called razor blade sore throat. I know sore throat has been a symptom of COVID before, but what stands out about this one?
The other symptoms, the cough, the fever, the chills, all of that we've seen in the past, but it's really that it's got a much more prominent sore throat. The other thing that we're hearing and seeing a little bit is that there are more gastrointestinal symptoms. So some people may present with nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or even the flip side with bloating and constipation. So it does have a little bit of a different, what we will say, constellation of symptoms.
There's still another variant out there. I believe it's called Stratus.
So also a descendant of Omicron. This particular variant was first identified actually in Canada. It's not as much of a player in the US, I think about 30%. Similar symptoms, not as infectious as the Nimbus strain, but is a little better in evading the immune system.
Do the current COVID vaccines stand up to Nimbus?
It's a little early to know exactly how effective these vaccines will be, but based on laboratory data, maybe not 100% effective. They may actually just prevent severe disease, which is really what some of the other vaccines have done. They haven't necessarily impeded you from getting the disease, but they've prevented the really serious consequences.
That said, beyond or apart from vaccines, how do we protect ourselves against Nimbus?
This is like all respiratory viruses, right? You sort of need to be very vigilant especially in crowded situations. That's where a lot of the transmission occurs in homes, etc. Washing your hands is very important. Making sure that you get adequate sleep, that you're eating well, etc. And then finally, if you're going into these high-risk situations where there are a lot of individuals, you can consider wearing masks.
The CDC lists Texas among the states where COVID cases are growing. Why Texas ahead of other states?
I don't know that there is data behind it. I can tell you that there are interesting associations. For example, Texas starts seeing influenza before the rest of the country. It may be something about our geography also. The other thing that's interesting is that right now there's a little bit more COVID activity down in Houston than there is in North Texas. So is it warmer weather? Is it that people are inside more and it's just we've really gotten into the heat? Is it something about the humidity? All of which are factors that have been thought to contribute to some of the transmission. I don't know, but that could be part of what is contributing to this.
And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.